Fuck you having him that low. Number 6?
Yeah, man.
Should we just spit on his grave? What are
Come
you
on.
talking about?
All right, welcome to another episode of Two Fight Fans, where we talk about all things in combat sports. I'm one fight fan, Colin,
And I'm the other Stuart.
and we have a special episode today. We've been
Oh,
alluding
it's
to
special.
it is, it
That's
is. We've been
nice.
alluding to, who would fall into our top 10 fighters, MMA fighters of all time, and I think it's time we set the record straight. As of right now, April 2025, what our top 10 lists of MMA fighters are.
Yeah, so we're talking about best fighters we've ever seen, not our favorite fighters,
Correct.
but who we
Although there
think
is some
are the
overlap.
best. Yeah, of course. And naturally, we like good shit.
Yeah.
We're classy hoes. We like top shelf stuff. We're not just here to drink the swill and eat out of the gravy bucket that is the Apex card. We like good stuff.
Yep.
But yeah, we are here hopefully to set also the record straight on what the proper order for the best fighters of all time is, because I've been seeing a lot of fuckery in some of these best of all times rankings, and I'm here to set the record straight, at least for myself, as a nobody that nobody listens to. So, Colin, before we get
Yes.
into that, did you watch the Boots Ennis Stanionis fight?
No, I didn't get a chance to watch it yet.
I'm brokenhearted.
I
You
know.
have to watch it. It's a masterful. You'll love it. It's the exact type of boxing match you'd love to see. A masterful performance on one end and somebody putting up stiff resistance but getting schooled routinely, like it's an Anderson Silva versus Forrest Griffin fight. Like, you love that shit. That's what this fight is. Boots Ennis looked phenomenal.
All right.
I'm super excited to see what he does moving forward, because I had complained about his kind of like tepid, really lukewarm bathwater performance in the past, and this one he was on fucking fire, dude. The shit was spicy as hell.
Okay.
Fantastic fight, a fantastic performance.
Nice.
So watch it in case we run out of stuff to talk about in the future, which we definitely will. Because here we are doing a top 10.
Yeah.
But all right.
Yeah.
Besides that, Colin, on the criteria of best fighters you've ever seen, not your favorite fighter, not the one you think was the coolest or the one you wanted to bang the most, the one that you thought was the best, who do you have as your number 10 best MMA fighter of all time?
All right. And this might be a spicy take to start with here. All right. I'm putting at number 10 for me. And I think for you and I, we're gonna have a lot of overlap, but it's also gonna show like what we favor and what we value. And you know me, I'm very nostalgia hungry, so my number 10 pick is actually Fedor Emelianenko.
Wow, at number 10.
Yeah.
Well, see, I think you're wildly inaccurate there, my man. I've got Fedor at number 5.
Don't tell me
Fedor.
everything what you got here, so come on.
Well, hold on. I mean, like, but if we're gonna talk about Fedor, he's my number 5, so you've got him twice away ranked from where I'm at.
Yeah.
But okay. Talk to me about why Fedor is in your top 10.
Okay. Well, okay, first of all, Fedor was one of those guys who, like, when the UFC was becoming the premier organization for MMA, and this was before it is now, where it is the only show. That back in the day, there was still Pride, there was still Strikeforce, there was Dream, all these other not as big, but still having decent talent. Fedor was the biggest name and talent that was not in the UFC. He's kind of like Francis Ngannou now, in that he is like the featherweight that we wanted to see in the UFC, but was not
Heavyweight.
Oh, excuse me, heavyweight. Yes, he was the heavyweight that everyone wanted to see match up with the best of the best, but for whatever reason was not in the UFC. And I remember watching some of his fights, and especially in the Pride days, where he was just like, he had this like psychopath look to him, where he had no emotion, people could just like lay into him, and like who was the fight that he had where he got like suplexed onto his head? Who's that
Evan
against?
Randall, man.
Thank you. He got like, I mean, absolutely just like jumped onto his head. Like I thought he was like dead, and then he goes on to submit Kevin Randleman. So
Mhm.
like, and all of his fights. I mean, just looking at his all of his fights, he's 40 wins and 7 losses. 16 of those 40 wins are by knockout and 15 are by submission. So you can see like he is a very balanced fighter. He's not only, you know, submissions and just a grappling wizard. He's not just a knockout artist. He was able to do it all. And in the end, it got a little sad for him, but I think he just kind of stuck around way longer than he needed to. Because I mean, fucker started fighting in 2000. Like Jesus.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, it's just a lot of it for me is like, oh, I just wish I could have seen like what could have been.
100%. Like, Fade we talk about maybe, like God, I'm thinking for new fans, maybe, like, Ilya versus Islam is a fight that might get away from us, or we might not get Pereira versus Dricus Du Plessis, but really back in the day, there were 2 fights that we always wanted, and that was Brock Lesnar versus Fedor Emelianenko and
Yeah,
George St.
yeah,
Pierre versus Anderson Silva.
yep.
Um, it's so hard to understand this. Like, Fedor is the best heavyweight that has ever been. Um, there has been no fighter since Fedor at heavyweight that has the same level of skill as him. And
Mhm.
also, what he brought to the game at heavyweight is like, I don't have another good analogy other than this, so stick with me because I'm about to become an insufferable, like, art history nerd. Da Vinci and Michelangelo brought Renaissance painting to a new level by adding shading and texture, which allowed for a sort of like impression of 3D artwork. They created like Renaissance art was famous for moving out of no perspective to actual perspective, so it can look 3D rather than a flat surface, adding expression and twisting to the human body, which allows for kind of dynamic. If you've ever seen a Michelangelo painting, if you've been to the Sistine Chapel, if you've seen Da Vinci, why is the Mona Lisa so famous? Her eyes always seem like she's following you. She seems like a real woman with real dimensions. That is so profoundly difficult to do in the art world. Fedor being a dominant ground and pounder from guard, being someone who could pass guard at heavyweight easily. This is at a time in MMA where not even heavyweights, basically everyone, once you're in guard, that was kind of shit, I guess I'm stuck here for the round. Fedor showed that you can pass that. You can use that to your advantage. You can have offense, even if you're in top position in guard. He was a wicked fast heavyweight. He threw combinations. He was smart. He was intelligent. Like, this is still a time when people were really revolutionizing the game. And we talk about this constantly. It's the little guys nowadays that are revolutionizing small tactics to the game. Fedor revolutionized huge tactics at heavyweight. That's crazy. It's like unfathomable today. Like, what? Is fucking Curtis Blades gonna revolutionize something? Is Tom Aspinall gonna revolutionize something? Fuck no. But Fedor did do that. Fedor's the fucking man. He's my number 5. He's Colin's number 10, which I think Colin is like sorely underrating Fedor's skill. But like truly a pioneer and a real powerhouse. And if Fedor was in his prime today, I'd pick him to beat John Jones and Tom Aspinall
Oh,
without a shadow
nice.
of a doubt.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah. I mean,
yeah.
yeah, he was very impressive, and there's gonna be a trend with some of my picks there, like where they are is because like what they accomplished is very impressive, but there's still something in my mind of like what could have been.
Yeah. And it definitely is. Like, we had that with Fedor. Like, but I also love Fedor for that, sticking to his guns, being like, I'm not doing a deal with Dana White because he seems like a shady motherfucker. And it's like, right, good, good for
Yeah.
you. Now you did deals with the Yakuza, and that shit happens. But like, I don't know. Also, I gotta love a 230-pound pudgy heavyweight who could have clearly fought probably at 185. Like, if he was a modern MMA fighter, this motherfucker would be fighting Dricus Du Plessis. His size, right? And like, but his skill level was leaps and bounds above Dricus Du Plessis and the heavyweights. And this is the thing. For anyone who's new, heavyweight is a trash division. Dude, heavyweight during the Pride era was like actually a good division. was actually like a marquee division with a
Yeah.
ton of skill. You
Yep.
had Verdum, you had Nogueira, you had Krokop, you had Randleman, you had Overeem, you had like elite K1 level kickboxers, world champion Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts. Heavyweight and light heavyweight were the divisions at this time, and Fedor was the king of them all.
Mhm.
Um, yeah,
And he
an
was so
absolute stud.
unassuming too. Like you said,
Yeah,
he was like kind of pudgy. He kind of had this like baby face for a while. Like you just like didn't really know what you were gonna get. Like if you came into it without knowing who he was, you're like, who is this guy? Like he doesn't look like a fighter at all. And then he just destroyed everyone.
yeah. And when this was a time in Pride when like walkouts were a big thing, where people would have big flashy walkouts, and like
Yeah.
Fedor would walk out. Like also my other favorite like fighter who's not MMA, Mike Zambitis in kickboxing, walk out to his song, no dancing, no shirt on, ready to fight, being like, I didn't wear a shirt, I didn't wear an outfit, I didn't wear any gaudy costume. I'm just walking out to my music. My face is neutral. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to get into this fight. And I'm like, hell yeah, brother. That's awesome.
All right.
All
Well,
right. So you're
we're
number
number.
10.
You tell me
Oh,
your number 10 now.
yeah. My number 10 is a fighter who, like, very sadly, there's been a lot of news about him recently, and we wish him well, but it does not seem like it's going great. But I think did we do a retrospective on him? I hope so. One of the greatest lightweights I've ever seen, BJ Penn, is my number 10.
Oh, okay, okay.
BJ Penn, the prodigy, won black belts at the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu World Championships after 3 years of training. The only or the first American to do it. And when he was in his prime, I mean, BJ Penn was an absolute fucking murderer. He's one of the very first, I think he was only the second two-belt champion in the UFC, winning against welterweight Matt Hughes and then winning the lightweight championship off of both Joe Stevenson and Sean Shirk because it was a bit disputed at the time. BJ Penn ran through the rest of his competition, and when he was on top, was one of the best fighters I've ever seen. Unfortunately, he had a pretty severe decline, and that's why, despite being one of the most dynamic offensive fighters I've ever seen, he's only at number 10.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I
Is
mean,
he even on your top 10 list, Colin?
dude, this is one of the things that pains me. He's like I had him in, but I kept moving him around and I ended up dropping him from my top 10. I love
Damn,
BJ
bro.
Penn, his ability and everything, but there's a few things that kept me from putting him in. One,
Mhm,
um you're exactly right. Like he was this dynamic, explosive fighter, winning one of the first people to win championships in two divisions. Um, some of the things that he did in his matches were incredible. Like some of the offensive potency that he had, like extremely heavy hands for lightweight. Like back then there wasn't there wasn't like lighter divisions or they were just coming in. So he was like the draw and
mhm.
people weren't doing what he was doing in the UFC. Like some of his
Yeah.
use of rubber guard, the way he would get people's backs. Um, you
Even
know,
jabbing. His jab was phenomenal.
yeah. And the one thing with him is like everyone talks about him being a prodigy and everything, and that was kind of his downfall. I feel like it happened way before, but you could see him like he didn't know how to deal with adversity, and especially of like the cardio variety. Like anytime he
Yeah.
got, and he was like he never figured out how to battle past that. And once he started to go on that downward trend, it spiraled really, really quickly for him.
Yeah. Yeah. And now he's out here getting KO'd at the Lava Shack and fucking, you know, getting knocked out at strip clubs and, you know, seems to be in a bad mental place, questioning whether his mother and brothers are real or if they're doppelgangers. It's really sad to see
Oh, yikes.
kind of what's become of him. But, dude, at the time, BJ Penn was ill. I mean, he was violence incarnate. He
Yeah.
was. He's the closest thing to, like, if anyone's played God of War, like, he's like Hawaiian Kratos. Like, this motherfucker was licking blood off of his gloves,
Yeah.
after every
Yeah.
fight. This guy was insane and insanely skilled.
Mm.
Um, yeah. So he's my number 10.
All right.
Colin, We're now getting now below 10. Who is your number 9?
You might quit on me as soon as I say this, and I
Oh,
need you to hear me out on this here. Okay. So, and this is not any my number 9 pick is actually Amanda Nunez.
hey, no, I'm not gonna quit on you. I
Okay,
think I
okay.
get it, but let's
Yeah.
hear your reasoning.
Okay, so there's a few reasons for this. One, the only woman to be a 2 division and a double champion. Okay, a feat that probably won't be replicated. She was head and shoulders above the vast majority of her competition and able to do that. Um, and yeah, she's just someone who, like, out of all of the women's fighters that have come in, and it's not that many, over these last since the women have been in the UFC, 10 years, 12
Mhm,
years. She is one of like a handful that, like, anytime we've talked about this, like, if there's a card, if she's on it, I will watch it. Like,
mhm.
she has that draw power for me, you know, and she has a
Okay.
well-rounded skill set, and I've been very impressed with what she's done, not just within her own career, but just historically with women's MMA.
Now, I can respect that. She is definitely the most decorated woman in MMA. I think there is no argument against that.
Yep.
She's definitely one of the most enticing women to watch in MMA, but we're talking about the 10 best fighters based on what we think their skill level was.
Well, see, okay, I saw that as
Do
skill
we think
and accomplishments.
okay, do we think her skill plus accomplishments is better or tied with Valentina Shevchenko or Zhang Weili?
I think it's better.
Overall, is that primarily accomplishments because of the length of her reign, or is that related to her skill?
I think, and part of this is also, we've talked about before, like the kind of competition you have. She was way outclassing a lot of people for the longest time,
Mhm.
but like she basically cleared out 2 divisions. Is that an indictment on the divisions, or is that a like statement of how much better she is than everyone else? You know?
Um, yeah, I get what you're saying. Like,
Mhm.
I like, she is I mean, she's the best women's MMA fighter that there's ever been when it comes to credentials, um, when it comes to, like, a lot of the, like, athleticism, knockout power. I kinda like who I'm trying to think of who she kinda reminds me of.
Okay. Like on the men's
She
side or just
Yeah,
in
no, no,
general?
no, just in, like, like, a fighting terms. Like, she kinda reminds me of, I would say, like, Jack Johnson, in
Okay,
boxing, to bring it
sure.
back to boxing. Like, now we're talking, like, fucking 1908 to
Yeah,
1950,
I was gonna
like,
say,
a
like,
long time ago, right? Which, like, Jack Johnson, clearly so much head and shoulders above of his competition, a pioneer for what he did. There is a fantastic documentary by um, Ken Burns, I think, called "Intolerable Blackness" about Jack Johnson.
mm,
Like, the dude's an absolute stud, but at the time, like, boxing is so much less sophisticated than it is now.
yeah,
So much less like, if Jack Johnson faced Muhammad Ali, George Foreman, Joe Frazier, Mike Tyson, Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk, Joe Louis, I mean, the dude's getting washed by these guys, right? But he is an important sort of stepping stone and legacy figure for that, and that's kinda how I view Amanda Nunes. Very good for her time,
mhm,
clearly a foundational, like a cornerstone for women's MMA. Like, it's Ronda Rousey, Cyborg, Amanda Nunes,
yeah,
maybe another 3rd person, maybe Ioana Jędrzejczyk. Extremely important, but when it comes to the top 10 best fighters I've ever seen, nah, man. She's
yeah.
not even a flea on the dog's ass, you know what I'm saying? Like, just not quite there.
No,
Uh
that's fair, that's fair.
Yeah, like, extremely important on the women's side. I would say skill-wise, Zhang Weili, Rose Namajunas, Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Valentina Shevchenko better than her skill-wise. She obviously clearly has the resume, and so I want to give respect on her name, and I'm excited she's coming back to fight the winner
Yeah.
of Pena and Kayla Harrison, but no, she shouldn't even be in a top 20.
All
I
right.
don't think so.
No, that's fair. That's you're entitled to your opinion on that. I'm good
And I'm
with
not just entitled to it, I am right, so it doesn't matter.
it.
And here we go, my number
Well, you
9.
tell
We
me you're
talked about
9.
this. Yeah, we talked about this person. We talked about why they are the greatest men's bantamweight champion of all time. I'm talking, of course, about the Dominator, Dominic Cruz.
Oh, okay.
Bantamweight is a fantastic division. Bantamweight is a division that is extremely hard to be champion in, and we've already litigated and gone through Dominic Cruz's rise and fall in this division, and how thoroughly impressive it is that his skill, even as his body failed, his skill level kept him as champion, or at least in the top 10 of that division for so long. He was still beating top 10 competition far after he lost his belt. I think Dom Cruz, not again, kind of talking about this thing with Fedor about like revolutionizing the game, revolutionizing footwork, revolutionizing how you can go about MMA fighting with not getting hit, avoiding punches, mixing up striking and takedowns, and then like again, something we must talk about as we get into our top 10 is like as you lose the belt, do you drop out of the top 10 or how long is your reign? How long are you still a contender? How long are you still knocking off top contenders and showing that the next generation and the generation even after that one is not ready to compete with your level of skill? And I think Dom Cruz has done that time and time again. So he is my number 9.
Nice, nice. Dom Cruz was on my list as well, but I bumped him out too. So, but
Oh my God, you bumped out Dom Cruz?
yeah, man.
I mean, because like, let's think about this.
No,
His
yeah,
generation was Uriah Faber. His generation was Joseph Benavidez. His
yeah,
generation was Brian Bowles. We talked about him demolishing all of them. The generation after him was Demetrius Johnson, TJ Dillashaw. He beat them both. He did lose to Cody Garbrandt, but then he came back and he beat Casey Kenny. He beat Pedro Munoz. Like he was still fighting and
yeah.
beating top 10 competition. Not only the generation before, the generation he lived in, but also the generation after. And getting 3 like wins in 3 generations is supremely difficult.
Oh yeah.
So, Dom Cruz, man, we already have an episode on it. Go look it up. He's my number 9. The dude's an absolute stud and the only bantamweight in my top 10.
Oh really?
Yes.
All right, all right.
Justice Fedor is my only heavyweight. And yeah, I only have one bantamweight. Yeah.
All right. Well, why don't you tell me your number 8 then?
My number 8. Here we go. We got to get into the Division of Kings, baby. If we're in the
Okay,
top
okay.
8, we're gonna have a lot of people from the Division of Kings.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm with you.
Number 8 is Max Holloway.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
he beat Jose Aldo twice. He was what I thought the heir apparent to Jose Aldo before Alexander Volkanovski came along. And even after losing 3 times to Volk, has routinely beaten back top contenders both at lightweight and at featherweight. Max Holloway is one of the most skilled, like, of anyone. If you're teaching a young person to fight, look at Max Holloway. Look at what he does. And his resume, beyond just how he performs in a fight, just that resume, I think is almost untouchable for most people. Jose Aldo twice, uh, Anthony Pettis, like he routinely beats some of the best overall. So Max Holloway, number 8, because we have to overrepresent the featherweight division in this top 10.
Yep, yep. No, I got you there.
Yep.
Max is actually a little bit higher on my list. So
Ooh,
yeah,
okay. Okay,
so we've got
where's
a
he
little bit
at
of
for
line.
you?
He's actually at number 7 for me. So
Oh,
he's one
okay.
ahead.
Okay. Nice, nice. So who's
Yeah.
your number 8?
So first I'll talk about Max. Like, yeah, everything you said. Like uh, just a gunslinger. With Max, just incredible technique, and like a willingness to just stand and bang and just like do. I thought he was gonna be champion forever until fucking Volkanovski showed up. And
Yeah,
then, like I said the
I
other day,
agree.
like, like I was so bitter about that, and it blinded me to realizing like how good Volk actually was, So, but like I'm a big Max fanboy, he's Hawaiian, my family's from Hawaii, so I gotta root for him. But yeah, I can't say anything like more glowing about Max. And you hear he has a fight announced?
No, who?
Yeah, yeah, he's fighting Dustin Poirier, and probably Dustin Poirier's last fight
Oh, I mean,
for
dude,
for the
sex on a
BMF title, as well.
God, sex on a plate. I love it. Let's do it. Like, it's rough because they're two of our favorite fighters,
I
and like,
know.
man, and like I will say, like you said, quickly, like that fight's amazing. We'll talk about that more. But when you said like we thought Max was gonna be champion forever against like after he beat Jose Aldo 2 times in a row, seeing his rise of 8 fight win streak before even fighting Jose Aldo, it really did feel like Max was the true heir apparent to like the greatest pound for pound
Yeah,
in this division. Like
yeah,
some of you might not remember, but like it really did feel like that, and that wasn't like a just a vibe thing. Like ooh, Patty Pimblett might win. Ooh, Tom Aspinall might win. Like your eyes could tell you this motherfucker's got the goods.
yeah.
Um,
There's something
and
special
like
about him.
yeah, and then Volt came along and snatched it away, and it's been heartbreaking for both of us, but also so happy for Volk and Max. Like, what a pleasure for us to both see them compete at the same time.
Mhm.
Um, no, but dude, Max, it reminds me of like Daniel Cormier versus John Jones. It reminds me of Robert Whitaker versus Israel Adesanya. In any other dimension, in any other multiverse where Volk didn't exist,
Yeah,
Max Holloway gets 10, 11, 12 title defenses. He's up there with Demetrius Johnson and Anderson Silva for title defenses. Um, yeah, an, a stud. Stud.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, my 8 here, and this is gonna be I think this one might be controversial for you, um, and how low he is, I guess. It's Khabib.
Okay, I'll tell you what, Khabib not even in my top 10, motherfucker.
Oh, okay, okay.
Not even in my
Interesting.
top 10.
Yeah. So Khabib, I have him here at number 8. One,
Mm-hmm.
because he was so dominant, and like he went undefeated, lightweight champion, defended against some of the best people at lightweight at the time. Um, but I have him lower at this because I just feel like he retired too early, and
Yeah.
it was probably the smart play for him because like I don't need this anymore. I don't need to do
Yeah.
anything else like that, So I can't be like upset about a fighter being smart about like retiring before it got too late.
Mm-hmm.
But if I feel like if he wanted, he could have strung on a dynasty for as long as he really wanted. I couldn't see really anyone outclassing him or being able because just what he did against the caliber of opponents that he did, it was like again, he was head and shoulders above other. He made people just like look like amateurs against him.
Yeah, exactly. That's actually a good point. Maybe he should replace DJ or Dom in my top 10. I kind of knocked him out of it because I felt like he did retire a little too early. But you are right. Like Luke Thomas has a point about like when people are asking like, how did you know Khabib was gonna be so good? How did you know? How did you know? Like as if it was some like oracle of Delphi telling him that Khabib would be good. Dude, you watch the tape on this dude. You watch any of his fights leading up to his title fight, and you're like, this guy's fucking beating these dudes up like he's stealing their lunch money. Like
Yeah,
he is massacring these people. You didn't need to have like a good eye for MMA. You could just tell this dude is brutalizing other people, and he did that for every fight except the Gleason Tebow fight. Through his entire UFC run, like he you're right. He was like a wrecking ball, which maybe that does mean that I should put him on my top 10. You might have called me out there Better than BJ, yeah, probably. Maybe Dom, probably. But like, yeah, him leaving so early did kind of like, I guess, without seeing the decline or seeing the second half of his career, kind of
Mhm.
like Max losing the belt and still
Right.
having like a full second half. It did make it a little challenging for me to go like, oh, I can put him on my
Right.
list.
And
Yeah.
that's exactly why I have him lower,
Hmm.
So, but I mean, I couldn't ignore what he did in the time that
Yeah.
he did. So,
Yeah.
but that's fair. These are our lists, so
Yeah. When did you catch on to Khabib being that dude?
who was it that I saw him a lot of this was like I was watching it and I was like, okay, like he's doing well. Oh, it's interesting. Maybe, he got it wasn't until like I saw maybe not all the way until Edson Barbosa. And I like looked back and I was like, wait.
Wow.
Wait, what is this guy? Who is this guy? What is he doing? Like, how has he been so dominant? Have I just like what if I've not been paying attention? So yeah, I think that's actually when it was when I recognized like, okay, like this guy, like there's something about him.
You casual, man.
I
You
know, man.
casual.
Well, what
Yeah.
about you? What was the fight that turned the tide for you?
So I remember seeing him fight. I remember clearly watching him fight on the Melvin Gillard versus Jim Miller fight against Kamal Shalarus, and he won
Oh, jeez.
um, with a rear naked choke. And then the next fight was against Gleason Tebow. I made a little facetious joke that like he won every fight except the Gleason Tebow fight because I think in that fight, and most MMA media members were like, "We think Gleason Tebow won, but the judges gave it to Khabib." But then he came back, he beat Thiago Tavares and Abel Trujillo pretty easily, and then he fought oh, I'm looking here, he did beat Pat Healy in between. He fought Rafael dos Anjos.
Mm-hmm.
This was meant to be a number 1 contender fight to see who would fight, uh, Anthony Pettis at the time. This is back in 2014, 11 years ago.
Jesus.
And we I don't know about you, but I think I can speak for the entire podcast when I say like we have mad respect for Rafael dos Anjos, an absolute warhorse, like a great
Mhm.
fighter. He big brothered Rafael dos
Yeah.
Anjos in their fight. He made him look like a fucking nerd. He made him look so bad. And then he broke his ribs and was out for 2 years. And in that time, Rafael dos Anjos both fought for the title and beat it off of Anthony Pettis, and then defended it against Donald Cerrone and lost it to Eddie Alvarez. And so like Khabib was kind of relegated to this weird place of like, are you going to be that guy? Because in 2012, 2013, 2014, he looked like that guy. But then he was out for 2 years, and then he had to rebuild his way up there. He had to beat Daryl Horcher, Michael Johnson, and Enzo Barbosa before he got a title fight. So it took him another 4 years after beating Rafael dos Anjos in order to get that title shot, even though Rafael got the title shot that same year that he lost. Um, but I think it was when I saw him manhandle RDA that I was like, oh shit, this guy's gonna kill everyone in this division. He's gonna kill Benson Henderson. He's gonna kill Frankie Edgar. He's gonna kill Gilbert Melendez. He's gonna kill Anthony Pettis. Because that was the elite guard at the time. And I was like, all of these dudes cannot handle the level of grappling that he
Yeah.
has.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. And then he continued into the generation beyond that, beating Connor, beating Dustin Poirier, beating Justin Gaethje, beating, anyone they put in front of him. Yeah.
Yeah.
A
All
good
right.
dude. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, you already heard my number 7 in Max Holloway. So tell me, who's your number 7?
So you've got 7 is Holloway. It's because 8 was Khabib. Is that what I understand?
8 was Khabib for me, yeah.
Great. 8 was Max for me, though I
Mhm.
think I should put Khabib probably as my 10 or 9 and knock BJ Penn out of there. But my
Mhm.
number 7, if my 8 is Max Holloway, my number 7's gotta be Alexander Volkanovski.
Okay, okay.
Uh since we're talking about skill, versus like resume, Volk will be here infinitely higher. He will grow by 1 or 2 spots every single time he wins a fight moving forward. I think he might be one of the most skilled fighters. He might be a top 3 most skilled fighter I've ever seen. But his resume just still quite isn't there to, I think, to beat out the other people above him. But Volkanovski, God, yeah, I mean, he's a top 3 most skilled fighter I've ever seen. The dude's a stud. He broke these records. We just talked about it, like at 36, winning at featherweight. I mean, I think still a top 5 pound for pound fighter in the UFC, despite losing to both Makhachev and Ilia Topuria. Like, I mean, what else is there to say? The dude,
Yeah,
the dude beat Max Holloway 3 times. He beat Jose
yeah,
Aldo. Like, he almost beat Islam Makhachev in their first fight. Like, the dude's the dude rocks. Volkanovski, he is Alexander the Great. Put some respect on his name. The
yeah.
dude is phenomenal. Yeah.
Look, I'm with you. I actually have Volk higher. I have Volk.
Ooh, shit!
I have Volkanovski at number 4 for me
Oh my god. Wow. Alright, well,
because
okay, we're gonna have to start, like, negotiating some of this stuff as we move forward, because
Here, so hear me out, because some of this is like again, like I said earlier, we hold different things of different value. You're focusing mostly on the skill. I definitely appreciate skill, but I also appreciate like what they've done in the
Mhm,
division.
mhm,
And for Volk to come back, after two big losses like that, to get the title at 35 years old in a division that we've talked about, the division of kings, where it's always new challengers coming in, and not just like donk challengers, like real skilled,
yeah,
young, hungry challengers, and he's able to regain his title. Like that is a feat. Like I don't know anyone who I don't know if anyone will be able to do that. To have
mhm,
lost their title at the age they did in a devastating way and then reclaimed it. The only way that he could have done it even more so was if he beat Topuria if Topuria was still in featherweight. Like that would catapult him into something that's like you're talking like greatest of all time talk then. But like for me, like what he's done and just the skill that he has demonstrated over the many, many years, his resume as well, like that's why he is. And maybe I'm riding the hype train a little bit right now because of what he did at 314 or whatever, but like he's yeah,
nah,
mad
man,
mad respect
the
for him and recognition
yeah,
on him.
there's no hype train with Volk. Volk's the real deal Holyfield. Like, I don't think casual MMA fans or even, like, quote, unquote, "hardcore MMA fans" are, like, really truly respective of how good Volk is skill-wise overall. Like, the only reason why he's so low for me is, like, basically just the resume beyond the skill, but, like, he is probably one of the best MMA. I mean, definitively, I think he's at least in the top 5 best MMA fighters skill-wise we've ever seen. Um, and the things that he's done is a testament to that. It's not, I mean, he does have mad athleticism, but
Mhm,
not like Jose Aldo, not like Fedor Emelianenko, not like John Jones. And so to still be in even the top 10 rankings of greatest all time without that level of athleticism, I mean, the dude's a stud. The dude's an absolute stud. Yeah. All right.
uh, so we're at what, number 6?
6. So we're just outside the top 5. So let's see. Recount for me where you are overall.
Alright,
10
so
through 7.
10 is Fedor, 9 is
Yep.
Amanda Nunes, 8 is Khabib Nurmagomedov, 7 is Max Holloway.
Got it. And I'm BJ Penn, Dominic Cruz, Max Holloway, Alexander Volkanovski.
Alright, yeah.
Number 6. Lay it on me, Colin.
I have number 6, the King of Rio, Jose Aldo.
You plebeian. Number
Come
6,
on. Yeah.
Jose Aldo?
Mhm.
Fuck you. Fuck you having him that low. Number 6?
Yeah, man.
Should we just spit on his grave? What are
Come
you
on.
talking about?
Come on, man. 6 is
Who's
still
in your
good.
top 5, motherfucker?
Alright,
I
well,
don't know even.
Volk is number 4 for me, so you already see that.
Christ. Jose Aldo number 6. Fine. Explain yourself about this.
All right. Well, look, Jose Aldo is great. We've talked at length about how great he is, and he's had like a second resurgence, like a renaissance in his career lately, which is fantastic. It's like what Volk's been doing here. The one thing with so Jose Aldo in the start of his career, was this explosive, dynamic fighter who you could guarantee nothing but violence would come out in every one of his fights. And he could win on intimidation on that alone. But then midway through his career, kind of like BJ Penn, people start to figure out Jose Aldo starts to tire out. If you can outlast him, you can get him, if you can get him gassed a little bit, then you have a shot at him. And people started to work that strategy. And it was he hadn't figured out how to plug that hole in his game until recently. And we're starting to see him and it's like you said before, maybe he started to take his training more seriously, or he wasn't ballooning up and down, kind of doing the Ricky Hatton thing, and become more disciplined with it. But it was almost a little bit too little too late then. But I do want to say Jose Aldo is still one of my favorite fighters. He possesses incredible skill, not just offensive potency, but great evasive technique with his head slipping and leg checking and takedown defense. And he is still one of the most electrifying fighters. I love him for it.
I mean, Colin's right. Jose Aldo's fantastic. The fact that he ranked him this low is a little surprising to me. We'll get to it when we get to the real place. Jose Aldo should be in this ranking. But let's just leave you with this for now, at this part in the podcast. Alexander Volkanovski will have to win 3 more title fights at featherweight to beat Jose Aldo's record. Max Holloway would have to win 5 more title fights at featherweight to win this record. And 10 years, quite literally 10 years after he lost his title, I mean, Volkanovski is 2 years away from that? Max Holloway is 4 years away from that? By which I mean Alexander Volkanovski lost his title 2 years ago. Max Holloway lost it 4 years ago, or it might even be less for Volkanovski. He's still fighting, and he still has wins over top 10 contenders in the divisions he's fighting at. Oh, wait, and yeah, he dropped a division.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll get to where he truly belongs in a little bit, but I am actually appalled for you for putting him this low. This
Remember,
is crazy.
You and I are also considering different things too, so.
Sure, yeah, I know, and it's still disgusting that you've put him here, though. How dare you spit on in Jose Aldo's eye?
All right, well, you tell. Who do you have at 6 then?
Number 6, I have Islam Makhachev. I think Khabib Nurmagomedov
Oh,
is a good call, but Islam Makhachev, I think, is a very good call. He has wins over Volkanovski. He has wins over top lightweights, Dustin Poirier. Overall, I mean, he is the number 1 pound for pound in this moment. And I think if he were to retire today, he would still have done more than Khabib Nurmagomedov. Would he have been as dominant? No, but his skill level is better than Khabib's. Because one thing we have to admit about Khabib is that motherfucker, dude, athleticism is cheating. And Khabib got that athleticism statted out to 100. That dude is the most athletic dude on earth. Every time I see Islam fight, he becomes better and better skill-wise overall.
Yeah.
He is I know he's not undefeated in the UFC, but he only has 1 loss, and every time we see him, he gets better and better overall. He's going up against stiff competition. It's not a weak division. It's not a historically weak division. It's a historically strong division for a historically good division. Lightweight that is historically strong, and that's where Islam is competing, and competing against pound for pound champs like Volkanovski as well. I wanted to put Volk in front of him, but Islam has beaten him twice, and so I have to respect that and put him at number 6. He might be the best, and I think he is the best lightweight I've ever seen.
Oh,
Islam
okay.
Makhachev.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Right? I'd dude, is Khabib more athletic and more dynamic and more crushing? Absolutely. But did Khabib have the stand-up that Islam have? Did he have the poise? Did he have the control? Did he have the game planning ability? No. He just didn't as a fighter. And so I have to put Islam at number 6 overall.
You know, how you miss Khabib, I I don't have Islam in my list, and I
That's
probably should put
crazy.
him in too, and
Yeah.
I mean, part of it is like part of it what's an issue with me right now is like I don't know, I feel like Islam kind of is doing this whole like I get to pick. I'm picking who I want to fight right now, and like
Mhm.
he does kind of warrant that being the champion and being the pound for pound best
Yeah.
fighter right now, but that is I feel maybe that's unfairly influencing my whole perspective on this. But when I look back on this list of fighters, you got Dustin Poirier, Volkanovski twice, Charles Oliveira, Dan Hooker, Bobby Green, like yeah, these are like an impressive resume, and also the way he took these people out too.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
it's not just he got victories. He like
he outstruck Dustin Poirier, right?
yeah,
Like when we look at just on paper, we go like, well, Khabib got the finish on Dustin Poirier, but like Khabib, Dustin Poirier didn't fight as well as he did against Islam, and Khabib did not fuck around striking with Dustin Poirier because he knew he wasn't as good there. Islam fucked around and struck with Dustin Poirier and outstruck Dustin Poirier, one of the most vicious strikers at lightweight.
mhm,
Like you have to kind of like remember to read between the lines on this stuff. I'm not saying you, Colin. I'm saying like the people listening, the 4 people listening to this fucking podcast, right? Like, yeah, Islam pound for pound the best right now, and like I think probably one of the highest skilled times for lightweight is currently happening. So he's he it was hard not putting him in the top 5, but I had him just outside at number
yeah.
6.
Okay,
Yeah.
no, that's fair. That's fair.
So I've already announced we're getting into the top 5. This is the real
Yep.
juicy shit.
Oh yeah.
I already announced one of my top 5, which was, I believe, your number 10 at Fedor,
Yep.
which I think is crazy. So what do you have as number 5?
And you know me, man. I'm going with one of my favorite fighters from back in the day, Anderson Silva, man.
Okay. Explain why.
Well, okay. Anderson Silva was a generational talent, and
Mhm.
he was able to do things in the cage, in the ring, that it did make it seem like he was playing a game, and so much so that, like, he would toy with opponents and, like, basically get bored and just, like, do stupid shit, because no one could match up to him,
Mhm.
and that clowning did cost him in the end when he got fucking flatlined by Chris
Mm.
Weidman,
Okay.
but, like, his talent and his skill, his reflexes were just on another level that no one else could really rival at the time. Now, is he in maybe a weaker division? Yes, I guess when you compare it to like lightweight and
Yes.
featherweight in terms of
Yes.
talent and skill, but it still doesn't diminish what he accomplished.
That makes sense. I have a hard time putting middleweight anywhere in the top 10 because of what you said about, like, the level of skill, because you are exactly right. He was I don't know. He was Dwayne Wade. Well, no, that's not a good, but he was a very good but not excellent NBA player playing high school or college hoops, right?
Okay.
He was so, like, I can't say LeBron or, Jordan or Dwayne Wade playing against a college team, right? Because that's unfair because they are, like, all-time greats. He was like, an excellent, like, just shy of, like, you know, elite level basketball player playing in a high school or, like, lower college level team.
Mhm.
Right, but the fact is he was in a division that was so weak and has been extremely weak overall, that is like, he was impressive. Dude, him against Forrest Griffin is, like, an amazing knockout, but Forrest Griffin's also a donk and doesn't know how to do anything. Half of his opponents didn't know how to throw a jab, more than half, actually, right? The second he fought someone who knew how to do a combination and not overcommit in Chris Weidman, he was getting tagged much more routinely. Um, so it is one of these things where it's like yeah, I mean, like, I mean, what's a good example? It's kind of I don't know. It'd be like if like Steph Curry went back to like the 1970s and was playing ball and was like, I know how to throw up a three-pointer, and nobody else knew how to do that, right? It's just like, well, this is crazy. Like you're so far ahead of your competition, it doesn't matter. Um, Still a phenomenal fighter. Helped level up the skill at middleweight that you needed to have. Like he did lift up the division. Um, I just look at like Yushin Okami and Nate Marquardt, even Chael Sonnen. I mean, you and I both throw a better 1-2 than Sonnen. And that's like hard, right? Like, I mean, do you honestly think he throws it better than us? Like, he doesn't. He like falls forward
Hmm.
when he throws his 1-2. Like, it's just, I mean, clearly a better wrestler than both of us. But like, it's hard to know that two donks off the street can throw a 1-2 better than the most challenging fight that he's Anderson Silva's ever faced. So
Hmm.
I get it. Legacy wise, resume wise, it makes sense. I can't add Anderson Silva to my top 10 list.
No,
It's
that's
just not
fair.
gonna
That's
happen.
fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah. So that's our number fives.
All
It's
right.
Fedor. Where Fedor belongs in the top five. I don't know where the fuck you get off putting him outside of it. Revolutionizing the game in a massive way. I mean, heavyweight at that time was better than middleweight at the time Anderson Silva fought. But I digress. Let's get to number 4
All right.
because this is where I think it gets uber spicy. We're in the top 4. We're in Mount Rushmore territory here, Colin. These are the best 4 MMA fighters you've ever seen. If we're gonna like take over indigenous land and rudely carve into stone the faces of these people, these are the people we're doing.
All right. All right.
Who do you have at number 4?
Hey, I already told you. I got Volk.
Oh, Volkanovski at number 4. Because of course you have Jose Aldo lower than him. You fucking troglodyte. That's right. Volkanovski is great. I would love to see his face carved into the side of a mountain we all agreed upon and did not impose on a group of people that this is the mountain we should do it. Volkanovski is great. I love you're giving him those props. But no, Jose Aldo deserves to be higher. But my number 4 overall, and you'll never hear me compliment a light heavyweight ever again.
Oh.
This is the greatest light heavyweight of all time, and possibly the greatest talent MMA has ever seen.
Mhm.
John Jones, man.
Yep. Yep.
I've got John Jones at number 4. Light heavyweight and heavyweight
All
are
right. All right.
historically weak divisions and nowhere near as skilled. But goddamn, if the closest thing we've ever had to a Tiger Woods or a Michael Jordan isn't,
LeBron James.
or LeBron
Yeah.
James, a Kobe
Well,
isn't.
actually, no. I'm gonna reserve the Kobe one.
Okay.
Yeah.
But, like, I mean, we're talking about generational talents. Wayne
Yeah.
Gretzky. Actually, fuck Gretzky. Hey, listen, Wayne, if you're listening, Canada fucking hates you. Fucking hates you. Fuck you, Wayne Gretzky. Um, I mean, but, like, if we're talking about, like, somebody whose name is synonymous with their sport when it comes to talent, it's gotta be John Jones. The dude is a freak and an absolute stud when it comes to fighting. A deplorable human,
Yep.
but you can't argue with his talent, his creativity, his resume. Um, so John Jones is my number 4
Yeah.
on this list. I mean,
So
we'll do a retrospective one day of John Jones, but like, we haven't already done one, have we?
no, we have not.
Dude, I mean, it's amazing to at 24, your first 4 or 5 title fights all be UFC Hall of Famers, Pride Hall of Famers, and you
Yeah.
make them all look like absolute chumps. Like
Yeah.
that's crazy. Um, and even now, despite the fact that he is totally fighting much easier competition and cherry picking his competition, the fact that he's able to beat Hall of Fame fighters in other divisions, um, it's still super impressive. Uh, yeah, John Jones. As much as I loathe giving him compliments, like we will do a full episode retrospective on his career and how exciting it was to watch him fight. But like, goddamn, like a true standout and probably the most talented person that's ever entered MMA.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I have him as my number 3. Uh,
Ooh, okay.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, like we said, I don't think we've ever seen someone at like with the generational talent and like physical gifts that like that he possesses. And
Mhm.
the thing that will stick out for me always is his initial title run of just
Oh my god.
knocking off legend after legend after legend in like devastating ways too. Like, like choking out Machida against the cage and then just dropping him, and like just some of the ways that he like made it look easy. And
Oh
every
yeah.
one of those fights, I thought like, okay, this is the one. Okay, like the savvy veteran is going to put the young gun in his place, and it's like it never happened, and he just absolutely dominated everyone. In that first initial run. And he was one of those ones that we watched early on in his career too, and we both realized like, oh, this is somewhat different.
Yeah.
Like watch out, this is going to be something like absolutely insane one day. And he is, and
Yeah.
got a lot of issues outside the cage and in the cage too, but like
Mhm.
you can't you, you can't deny what he has accomplished resume wise, legacy wise, his overall skill, his fight IQ, his ability, his strategy and tactics in the fight. Yeah, you can't argue against it.
Yeah, I mean, on a 2-year run, he got a first round finish against Brandon Vera, who was viewed as like the
The hot
new
prospect.
the
Yeah.
hot prospect. First round finish. First round finish TKO against Vladimir Matyushenko, who is an extremely respected veteran.
And he put him in a crucifix, right?
Yeah, and then elbowed the bejesus out of him.
Yeah.
A second round finish against Ryan Bader again. These were the two hot prospects coming at the time. Ryan Bader has gone on to win championships in multiple organizations. Then he beat Shogun Hua in the third round by TKO. Then he beats Quentin Rampage Jackson, a Hall of Famer, by fourth round submission. Then he beats Lyoto Machida by second round submission, a Hall of Famer. Then Rashad Evans by unanimous decision, and then submission against Vitor Belfort, who is at this time juiced to the gills on TRT. This is all, every one of those fights, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 fights, all took place within a 2-year span. Like this dude, I mean, like the Mongol horde laid waste to this division.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. John Jones, I mean, like, I hate giving him props. I don't particularly like him overall, but like, goddamn, you gotta respect it. He's gotta be in your top 5.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's my
I'm
number
trying to
4.
think.
He's
I'm trying to
Colin's
think
number
of
3.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like an equivalent, like maybe in the NFL of someone like sane ability, but just continues to crash out in real life. Like,
Allen Iverson, maybe?
yeah, but Allen Iverson didn't
It's
have the like accomplishments that John Jones has.
I don't think in like a kind of like much more traditional sport or like stick and ball sport you can crash out as hard. I think that's a pretty unique like fight sport thing that you can
That's
do, you know?
true. That's true.
Because you can't like if you're playing baseball, you got 162 games. I don't know how many games are in the NFL now because I know they keep changing it, but like what is that, like 17
17.
games?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you can't be crashing out when you got that many days you gotta show up and be on your A game, right? Whereas you
Yeah.
can kind of fuck around as a fighter. Yeah, yeah. Anyway, John Jones, great. So I
Who do you,
assume you
who
did your. Go
who
ahead.
who's your third? Who's your third?
Okay, well, so I think what we're gonna have is basically the same top 3, except you don't have Jose Aldo in your top 3, which is very frustrating to me.
Okay. Okay.
My number 3 is the man who choked me unconscious with the quickness, like a phantom taking my back, the one time I trained with him, and that's Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Yeah, no, yeah.
Yeah, Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson, the highest record for UFC title defenses, most UFC title wins, um, the the true flyweight GOAT, still at this time could probably beat most flyweights if he was in his prime. I mean, I think that's kind of the the vibe of these top 3 is if they were in their prime, they probably, if they were a fighter now, could be champion again.
Mhm, mhm.
And for me, number 3 is Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson. He
That
is absolutely phenomenal.
yeah,
The only
yeah.
thing holding him back from a higher position is featherweight was not as developed,
Flyweight.
talent-wise. Flyweight, sorry.
Yeah.
Flyweight was not as developed talent-wise as it is now, and so he was occasionally fighting competition like Ray Borg, like Chris Carriasso, right, who I in the Golden Gate is it the Golden Gate Internationals, Golden Gate Invitationals for Sanchow, uh in
Oh.
San Francisco, fought Chris Carriasso, like, so the fact that I've competed against the same guy that DJ competed against, I'm like, "Alright, we gotta downgrade DJ's competition a little bit."
Alright, alright.
But overall, I mean, I grappled with DJ once. I mean, I shot in on him and then I woke up. Like, he took my back like a ghost and choked me out, like, this dude, and
Like,
maybe
you didn't
that's,
even
like,
feel him take your back.
no, no, no. It just was like, "Here's my shot. Oh my god, I'm waking up." Like, it was with the quickness, dude.
Wait, so someone had to tell you that what he got because you're like, "Oh, did he get me with the guillotine? Did he get me with a naked choke?"
Oh,
Like
I don't know, really, actually. I just assumed he got my back. I actually never checked. I just woke up and he was there kinda laughing, and then, like, he went off and kept grappling. Uh, yeah, like, so, yeah. No, but DJ, I mean, beyond that and that, like, minor personal connection that I had, uh I mean, just looking at him, the dude's a stud. His skill
Yeah,
level was supremely higher than basically anyone else.
yeah, yeah.
He's a top 3 best of all time for me.
Okay, okay. No, that's fair, that's fair.
Mhm. Who's your number 3, Colin?
I told you John Jones.
Oh, John Johnson. Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
cool.
So now we're in the top
Alright.
2. Our
We're
top
kinda, yeah.
2 best fighters here.
Ooh, interesting. Because I think I know what your number 1 is, but the number 2, oh,
Oh,
wait. Your number 2 is gonna be DJ, isn't it?
well, my number 2 is actually GSP.
You fucker. Okay, so your number, hold on. Okay, we're gonna pull this back. We're not going nowhere anymore. Your number 1 is DJ,
Yep,
and your number 2 is GSP?
yep.
Look at the disrespect our boy is putting on Jose Aldo's name. Look at the fucking disrespect. 10 years after Jose Aldo lost his title and then regained it and still is a top 10 at bantamweight. 10 years after that, 9 title defenses in featherweight. 9 times. Volkanovski's at 7, Max only got 5. Volk is probably not going to sniff 9. Max is definitely not going to. Jose Aldo had that shit, and he's still fighting, and he might fight for a title again.
Yeah, yeah, I know. And the difference between him and these other ones is he's still fighting, so he could still go even higher. I mean, I don't know where he is on you. I don't know if he's 2 or 1 for you, but he
He's
could.
number 2 for me.
Okay, he could slide into number 1 for you then. Like, he still has that potential. Like, if he if
Mm,
okay, no, no,
probably not. Probably
if
not.
he wins, tell me if he fights Merab or Sean O'Malley
But
and
I've seen
beats
him
them for
fight
the
Rob.
bantam, but let's say something miraculous happens. Let's say he wins.
Mhm.
Would that put him in number 1 for you if he became a 2 division, 3-time champion?
I'd have to see the fight because the argue for GSP is just so strong at this moment. But Jose Aldo definitely deserves to be in the top 3 at minimum, and the fact that Colin has excluded the King of Rio means that the King will not award him lands. He will not get rights. The King will send an executioner for Colin's head, for this betrayal. This is insane. I call Boulder Dash. This is not.
Alright, no,
Um,
that's
but
fair, that's fair.
let's talk about this. So, like,
Alright.
I had said I would talk about Jose Aldo very briefly. Like I said, nine title fight wins at featherweight. He was the first, and until Volkanovski did it, Max Holloway wasn't able to do it. Conor McGregor wasn't able to do it. Uh, Only the second person to regain a title at featherweight, which is extremely hard after losing and losing in devastating knockout fashion.
Mhm.
He still has Volkanovski beat by. I mean, it would just be 2 wins by Volkanovski to tie Jose Aldo, not even 3 wins in title fights, which I assume is going to be very difficult. Jose Aldo then, I mean, it's been 10 years since he was at featherweight. Like, is Volt gonna have a 10-year post his title, like, career? Is Max Holloway gonna have a 10-year post his title career? Probably not. Like, Jose Aldo is super unique amongst any fighter, amongst Fedor, amongst Max, amongst Volk, amongst any of these other top 10 to have a winning record 10 years post his title reign. And a winning record in a possibly more challenging division, a division down, and where he's fighting top 15 routinely.
Mhm.
Uh, Jose Aldo, I think probably when it comes to just pound for pound skill overall, not looking at resume, still the most skilled fighter I've ever seen fight. Um, an absolute stud.
No, I
Anyway,
again, not taking away anything for that. I guess when I was looking at this, when I saw Jose Aldo, I saw for a long time in his career there was one major weakness that people found and could exploit. Whereas some of my other ones that I picked here, they had a weakness and they like patched that up
what what was
or did
Jose's?
have it. His cardio.
I guess. Like his cardio only if you're Max Holloway, quite literally like the most impressive cardio fighter on earth. Right? Like Marab and Max were able to tire out Jose Aldo, and like that's about fucking it. Two people who have the hearts of a fucking horse. Like he still beat the bejesus out of most people. Anyway, Jose Aldo should be number 2, possibly number 1. The fact that Colin doesn't even have him in the top 5 is fucking bananas. But let's talk about this. We're talking about DJ and we're talking about GSP
Yeah.
because I have DJ at number 3. I have GSP at number 1.
All
Colin's
right. All
got
right.
DJ at number 1, GSP at number 2.
Yep.
Colin, please explain to me why GSP should be ranked so high on the list.
Okay. GSP. Okay. So when you were making your comparisons of like what basketball player John Jones was and you're
Mhm.
Michael Jordan and LeBron James. Like I agree. Like just fucking freaks of nature.
Mhm.
They had all the physical ability. They worked hard. They trained hard. They deserve all the accolades and everything and all their accomplishments. But GSP is fucking Kobe Bryant because Kobe Bryant works harder. It was the definition of an athlete who would work harder than anyone else and had this mentality of, I am going to beat you at your own game. I'm going to be
Mm.
so good that even though I'm known for this thing, I'm going to beat you with this other thing. And that to me is what GSP was. Like he was beating wrestlers at their own game. He was beating strikers at their own game, and he was not like a traditionally trained wrestler. He was not a traditionally trained striker. He was the first, I feel like, complete fighter where he could
Yeah.
do everything and anything, and he would win with everything and anything.
Mhm.
And and just an absolute like when you want an ambassador for the sport, that's who you think of. Like, as far as I know, no fucking like drama or fucking scandals surrounding
Mm-mm.
GSP. And he
Yeah.
was also one of those ones to suffer losses and come back, and win. He's a 2 division champion, albeit the middleweight title was a little like whatever, but he still did it, you know.
And a two-time welterweight champion.
Welterweight. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's what I mean. Like he lost his title and then he came back in
Mhm.
vicious form. Like when Matt Serra beat him, and then he came back and absolutely put the beat down on him. Like Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and, like, in going through this pound for pound rankings, like, I know you didn't have BJ Penn on your record, but, like, I did, or on my list, like, he beat a pound for pound best during his time. Same with, like,
Yeah.
Volk beating Max, right? Like, same with Islam beating Volk, at least for me. Like, you have a pound for pound best of all time beating other pound for pound bests of all time. And I think the one thing that, like, sets GSP to number 1 for me rather than Demetrius Johnson or Jose Aldo is, like, the level of competition that GSP beat at the time.
Yes. Yeah.
There was no better division. Like, it was clear that the best division when he was reigning was welterweight, and he still dominated it with an iron fist. There was no wishy-washy, well, could it be featherweight? Could it be bantamweight? Could it be lightweight? It was like, it was welterweight.
Mm.
It was welterweight. And he beat I mean, like, he beat John Fitch. Like, he beat him to within an inch of his stupid life. When John Fitch was on an 8 or 9 fight win streak, BJ Penn was, like, pound for pound, like, the most dominant lightweight, and GSP beat the bejesus out of him. Same
Mm.
with Josh Koscheck, same with Thiago Alves, same with Jake Shields. Jake Shields was coming off a Dan Henderson win. He was coming off of wins against middleweights and light heavyweights, right? He was beating guys who were at the peak of their powers, and at a time when we went, like, who can beat these motherfuckers? And it was GSP who was beating them.
Yeah.
Um, that was something that I, like, distinctly remember about GSP's title reign was every time he went into a title fight, I routinely felt like, "Oh my god, how is he going to win this fight? Oh
Mhm.
my god, how is he gonna beat this guy?" Whereas, like, when I watch Volk or I watch Max, I'm like, "They should probably win." I'm nervous for them, but, like, I can logically think about it and been like, "Ah, they'll probably win." GSP, it always felt like a knife's edge. It always felt like, how is he going to withstand Thiago Alves' domination when Thiago Alves just flying knee KO'd Matt Hughes?
Mm.
How is
Oh,
he going to
yeah, I
beat?
forgot about that.
Yeah, how is he going to beat John Fitch, whose wrestling seemed just as good, or Josh Koscheck, who was this extremely dominant wrestler, and then GSP beat him in wrestling? Like, how is he going to win these things? And
Yeah.
GSP always won, like 50-45. There was never any question who the winner was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was not just like he was good and, like, eked out decisions. He dominated, and he dominated the best people at the peaks of their power in the best division, in the best time at welterweight, too.
Mhm.
Like, GSP's reign was the golden era of. I mean, I know I argued, like, that maybe the Rory McDonald, Robbie Lawler was the peak era, but that was mostly for violence. Like, dude, if
Yeah.
GSP came back right now, peak GSP, he'd run the table on
Yeah.
welterweights.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
and
100%.
that's like 10 years after his peak. He could run
Yeah.
the table on welterweights.
More
Yeah,
than that. His peak was like, what, 2010 to 2015? So
yeah,
maybe yeah.
yeah. But,
Anyway.
like, yeah, he could, like, yeah. So that's yeah. Anything else to say about GSP before we talk
No,
about
I
your
no,
number
the
one pick?
so the only thing that separates these 2 for me was, like, they both were extremely skilled and dynamic, but this was the one criticism that even you said yourself was, like, GSP, when he would, like, clearly be dominating a fight, he, like, wouldn't take those risks, like you said,
Mhm,
which he didn't need to, but, like,
mhm,
a lot of his fights where he could have finished or could have ended, like, early in his career, that's, like, what he was doing, but towards, like, the latter half of his welterweight championship run, he was like, okay, like, I don't need to do anything. And whether that's
mhm,
because of age or, dangers or whatever, like, or more challenging, but whatever, he just didn't need to do. He did what he did to have a dominating win. For
mhm.
Demetrius Johnson, on the other hand, for me, he was always going for a finish. Like, he was
Yeah,
like, no matter who his opponent was, no matter how outclassed he was always trying to end it. And he would end it with submissions. He would end it with, knockouts with his hands, with his feet, with his flying knees, like everything you can imagine of a way to finish someone. He would do it plus one. Like, that suplex to armbar. Like, yeah, I know it's against a, like, less skilled opponent, but it's still a technique that required insane coordination and technique and skill to pull off in the highest level competition, you know? Like
Yeah.
you could say anything about doing that in like a fun sparring match with your friends, you know, or like just kind of screwing around in the gym. But to do it at the highest level with the most pressure, with all eyes watching on you, like that that's when you have like, you know, Michael Jordan dunking from like the free throw line, you know, like just styling on his opponents. And
Mhm.
you know, after Demetrius Johnson left the UFC, he still was dominating in one championship. He's still competing in submission grappling, you know, and he's winning in jiu-jitsu tournaments. So like, you know, the guy is a diverse and extremely skilled uh competitor and athlete. And again, like GSP, a huge ambassador for the sport. Like, no, does anyone speak anything ill about Demetrius Johnson or have any criticisms of him? Like,
The
can you
only
think of
one would
anything?
be, who who was the one fighter that he fought who didn't like him a ton? There was one fighter. Who's the Greg Jackson guy that he beat twice? Little African American dude.
Joe Dodson,
Joe Johnson. Yeah. John
John
Dodson.
Dodson,
Yeah, John
John
Dodson didn't
Dodson,
like
John
him.
Dodson.
Which I remember, I think I had texted you at some point too, like when I was in Matt Hume's gym for a little bit. John Dodson was going to be on the Ultimate Fighter, and then there was talk around like the people that they were most worried about DJ fighting was John Dodson because of
Right.
his athleticism.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had some bad things to say about him, but regardless, doesn't matter. No, yeah, no, dude, he's a class act. He's absolutely, you're exactly right. An absolute class act who went for it. The only thing that I think, not the only thing, I think one of the major things that holds him back from taking the place of number one over GSP is just like lightweight is or flyweight is better now than it was when he was fighting in that division.
Mhm.
Welterweight is not better now than when GSP was fighting that division.
Fair.
And
Yeah.
GSP dominated that division, and, like, I think DJ would still be an absolute stud and possibly be champion in this division, but, like, I definitely think it would be a lot harder for him to put on these performances, and part of being able to throw up that suplex to armbar against Ray Borg is, like, Ray Borg was 24 at the time, you know, where GSP was fighting, like, a seasoned Jake Shields, a seasoned John Fitch, a seasoned Matt Hughes, Matt Serra, Josh Koscheck, Thiago Alves, right? Like, he was fighting seasoned fighters, overall, and that's not DJ's fault. Flyweight was extremely new, um,
Mhm.
but GSP entered a legacy division and ran the fucking table on it, whereas DJ kinda, like, just inherited a brand new division and then was fighting. I mean, we got Kyoji Horiguchi coming back now better than ever, and that was one of DJ's wins when Kyoji Horiguchi only had 2 wins in the UFC.
Mhm.
Um, he's still my number 3. Just looking at his technique, looking at his skill, he's
Yeah.
definitely a top 5 for me, but I don't think he can beat out GSP,
Mhm.
overall. Yeah,
No, that's fair. That's fair.
yeah. It's alright. What we've learned is Colin massively disrespects Jose Aldo overall. Um, that's what I think. I need to rethink inserting Khabib because Khabib definitely deserves to be in the top 10. I was mistaken for not having him in there.
And I need to rethink Islam as well.
Yeah, and Amanda Nunes, like, it's cool that she's in there, bud, but, like, do we really need to have Amanda Nunes in this one? I don't know about that. I don't know about that. We wanna
I
have a woman in there, I get that, but, like, she's not even the most skilled women's fighter there's ever been, you know? She's the
no,
most
but
decorated,
most decorated, most accomplished
but not the
historically,
most
so
skilled. Yeah. So,
this is
yeah.
not just pure skill though, what we were talking about.
So our top 4, our Mount Rushmore, call them, lay 'em out for us. Who do you
Alright.
have?
For me, it's Volk, John Jones, GSP, and DJ.
Now, it's great that he has Vulcan there. I love he has Vulcan there, but he's just putting mad disrespect on the King of Rio. It should be GSP, Jose Aldo, DJ, and John Jones.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, yeah. And look, dude, I love Volk. Volk is with one more win, he might bump up into the top 5. It's
Mm.
just like Jose Aldo, you gotta put respect on the King of Rio's name, man.
Dude, I love Jose Aldo.
Still so good.
He's in my top 10.
9 title wins. 9 title wins, man. Like, that's goddamn 10 years after losing his title, he's still fucking fighting, and he's gonna massacre Farasahabi's brother. It's gonna be great. Alright. Well, this has been our top 10.
Yeah.
Now we know where we're at. Just know Colin's a casual from putting Amanda Nunes in there. None of us had really well, we both had Fedor, so we had somebody
Yeah.
non-UFC in there.
Non-UFC, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You did have 1 middleweight with Anderson Silva, which is
Mhm.
disappointing. We both had 1 light heavyweight. Flyweight, we had you had no
Yep.
bantamweights, right?
Well, Jose Aldo's kind of a bantamweight, I guess.
No, don't lie to me on that. He's a fucking featherweight.
Okay, okay. Wait, that was a big part of your argument for him.
Yeah, that he went down to bantamweight, but he's not a bantamweight.
All right. Yeah, no, I had no
It's kind of
bantamweights
like
then.
Conor McGregor. If you wanted Conor McGregor, he's a featherweight who has what, 2 wins at lightweight? He's a fucking featherweight, right? He's not a lightweight.
You,
Um,
you know what's one thing that I'm surprised about for our fighters or our
mm,
top 10? And I didn't even think to put him in, but DC is not in it for either one of us.
it's hard, I think, because like he is. We talked about this. Like, had John Jones not existed, he would have been the historically like best at this division
Mhm.
overall. Um, it's just like light heavyweight is just such a weak division, even historically, overall, when it comes to skill. And the only reason John Jones is in there is because you can look at him and he just kind of like passes the eye test of like, wow, this guy's really good. And then couple that with like the fact that he is undefeated and beat the bejesus out of every credible light heavyweight there's ever been. You go, okay, I guess I got to put him on. You know what I mean? But then
Yeah.
it's like, is DC gonna beat out Fedor or Volkanovski or Max Holloway or I guess in your case, Jose Aldo or like Dominic Cruz or Khabib Nurmagomedov for skill? Like probably not, you know?
Yeah.
Um, it's like if there wasn't a Fedor at heavyweight, if it was just a Nogueira, Crow Cop, Brock Lesnar, Randy Couture, there's no heavyweight in this rankings, right?
Mhm.
I have no middleweight in these rankings because it's such a weak division.
Yeah.
Um, and like if there wasn't a John Jones, there just wouldn't be anyone in this.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, it is because I thought about DC for a little bit. I thought about Conor McGregor too, just for that like specific run he had uh up to the title and like how much he changed the game and a win over fucking. He has a win over Max Holloway. He has a win over
Or
Jose Aldo.
Jose Aldo. Yeah.
Yeah, like he beat Eddie Alvarez, who's like a very good like top level lightweight. But you got to kind of also look at like what else have you done resume wise and like what was your skill compared to that? And
Mhm.
also like what did you add? Like Dom Cruz like quite literally added footwork to the game,
Yeah.
you know? Like Max Holloway added volume striking and switching stances and people copied him. Fedor added like ground and pound from half guard as like a tactic that people use, right? Which like Khabib and Islam both use.
Mhm.
Um, and then John Jones just added, "Hey, if you're a freakish athlete, you should be able to beat everyone at any moment of time." I mean, I will still stick by that. Like Jose Aldo, DJ, GSP, all freakish athletes. Nobody has been as much of a freak as John Jones though.
Yeah.
Like that dude should be. He should be playing like a real sport. He shouldn't be fucking around in the UFC. But I digress. Anyway. All right. Well, we kind of came to a semblance. We had decent overlap. I don't know what Amanda Nunes was doing on Colin's list, and I don't know why Jose Aldo was so low. Um, I also don't know how I forgot about Khabib and put BJ Penn or Dom Cruz on there. So my bad as well. This has been Two Fight Fans podcast. I'm one Fight Fan Stewart.
I'm the Arthur Cullen.
Colin, quickly. Best boxer of all time.
Oh, Jesus.
Go fast.
Dude, I can't.
Speed,
I don't.
speed. It's
You,
Willie Pep. Listen, everyone, it's Willie Pep. Go fuck yourself. All right, everyone. Good night.
I don't make decisions like that. Good night.